If you're working in an agile development environment, you may be interested in the major enhancements to Enterprise Architect's Kanban boards, which were first introduced in EA11. Just to give everyone some context on Kanbans, we're talking about diagram elements that are representing user stories or work items like what I've got here, and they're organized into vertical lanes, each of which represents some project property, like say a phase or status for that work item. As the elements move along the lanes, that project property is updated, so representing a change in status, for example, to that work item. So take item C here, for example. It's got a phase of 2.0. If I were to move it along the Kanban into the third column, you'll see that its property is automatically updated for me once I refresh. Well, this is all existing. But what's new in Enterprise Architect 13? Well, major improvements to how you can control the appearance of the Kanban and an entirely new Kanban profile. Let's have a look at the visuals first. You'll notice I can right-click on my Kanban and open up a dedicated dialog for managing the Kanban. To start off with, I can determine how that Kanban is populated. I can auto-populate it just simply by running a query or a search. I can set filters to determine which elements display on the Kanban board. For lanes, I can determine things like the maximum number of items, the color, similarly for sublanes. And in the appearance, I can use this new Kanban drawing style and then have fine control over what information is displayed for each item, for example, the status, along with the version and phase together, the priority of that element. Then maybe an icon to even visually represent what the element is. So applying that now, we can see these are task elements, and the little exclamation mark represents the priority. And I can easily see information about each of these work items as they progress along the various stages. I can also set for a Kanban my default Kanban diagram. So in a shared model, when I open up, I can then use the Start menu to jump straight to my Kanban. And personally, I have a default Kanban diagram that I use in our shared Sparks model. But most of that's just visual. What's really exciting in version 13 is the new Kanban profile. So you'll see that you're able to create one of 4 different Kanban diagrams, along with the standard one, the new backlog, iteration, and complete Kanban boards. And these are nicely tied together by 3 new model patterns, which actually allow you to create multi-stage workflows, so you can create a 1, 2, or even 3-stage workflow. Let's go ahead and do that and see how we can manage our work items. So by clicking that, I've created this structure in the project browser here, which contains 3 diagrams. First open here is the backlog diagram, an iteration diagram, which represents like my current tasks, and then a complete Kanban board representing the items that have been complete and the various stages that they go through then. So how do I then build up my current tasks, for example? Well, I might use the Kanban toolbox to simply drop on some user stories like so, maybe some features, for example, and I can build it up that way. But let's have a look now at an actual working example that I've created here. So here I've got a Kanban board representing the work items in a product release. So for example, I've got some work items. I need to publish a case study apparently. Scott's hosting a webinar, and I've got to do a review of a design here. So I can quickly see what the work items are. And just as before, as we move work items along the columns, so I've got the implement maplet here under test and review. Well, it's got a phase of test and review. As I move it across into the done column, then refresh, you see that its phase is updated as before. Well, what we can also show, you'll notice, is the underfill and the overfill. Now these were actually appearance options within the Kanban. Let me show you those. So for the lanes, I could set what the maximum number of items were before alarm bells should be ringing, or whether we're perhaps underperforming in a particular area. And then under the appearance, I could highlight the overfill and underfill. So a very useful tool. We can see that we have more items in progress than we can really handle. So as a product owner, I may want to do something about that. For example, by moving the items out. So let me show you how to do that. Well, along with our Kanban diagrams, we get these little drop zones here. They're basically diagram fragments. So the draft press release, for example, isn't necessarily that important. We haven't even got the product ready yet, so perhaps we could move that onto the back burner, like so. We're going to move that to the diagram. Now if I go into the backlog, there you can see Scott's task to draft the press release. It's got low priority and it's on the back burner. Reopening the iteration diagram, once I save it and refresh, you'll see the in progress lane has been updated for me automatically. And similarly, I can easily drop implemented items onto my complete Kanban board using the drop zone again that was put in place for me by the new Kanban model pattern. And there's the completed item. So in version 13, you have not only the ability to model Kanban boards as before, but you have an entire profile that's designed to support you in using Kanbans for task management, user stories, and the like.